have three players, as if by magic, behind me. Talk about the domino effect that these three are involved in.
Yeah, so if we look at this player on our left here, Samu Omorodion from Atletico Madrid, there are now issues with Chelsea's pursuit of this player. A deal had been agreed, we told you last week, for around £34.5 million. However, Chelsea have so far been unable to agree personal terms with Omorodion. As a result, as it stands, that deal to take Omorodion from Atletico Madrid to Chelsea is off. And that is now having a knock-on effect on Conor Gallagher and his move from Chelsea to Atletico Madrid. We do know that a £36 million deal had been agreed between Atletico and Chelsea. Personal terms had been agreed, unlike with Omorodion. And he was even photographed at the stadium last week. But there was a caption that just said, Conor Gallagher in the stadium while Chelsea finalised this deal. We expected that announcement to be coming very, very soon after that. The weekend passed and still no announcement. And we thought, is something wrong with this deal? That deal on its own, nothing wrong at all. It's all ready to go. But now we know why this one hasn't gone through is because it's down to the breakdown of the Omorodion deal. Right. Because what has happened, Julian Alvarez's deal, that was going to happen anyway. Manchester City were confident that the deal that they had with Atletico Madrid was independent of any other deal that was happening elsewhere. However, these two deals were connected. For Conor Gallagher to go to Atletico Madrid, it required Omorodion to go from Atletico to Chelsea. Now that that part of it has broken down, Conor Gallagher, who's still out in Madrid, just awaiting developments, he's in a bit of limbo. How is he going to get this deal over the line? Because Chelsea want it to happen. Atletico Madrid are desperate to want it to happen. So now Atletico Madrid are going to have to try and get another player to Chelsea. Yeah. And the player under discussion is Joao Felix, who used to play for Chelsea in a loan spell for around 6 months in the 2022-2023 season. I think he scored 4 goals in 14 starts in all competitions. So while Chelsea try and do a deal with Atletico Madrid, and if they can do it, that will then unlock the deal for Conor Gallagher once again, because it was unlocked with Omorodion going to Chelsea. Since that one's broken down, it became locked again. How are they going to be able to do this deal? If Joao Felix can make a move from Atletico to Chelsea, then Conor Gallagher can then make that move from Chelsea to Atletico.
I've got to ask the question, why are they so keen then to sort of rid themselves of Conor Gallagher? Because actually, he's been a great player for them at times. Certainly.
Yeah, huge part of Chelsea last season. Mauricio Pochettino gave him the captain's armband. He's come through the academy. He loves Chelsea. However, shuffled out of the exit door at Stamford Bridge. I think there's probably two things. One will be Enzo Maresca has looked at Conor Gallagher and decided he's not the type of midfielder I want for my Chelsea midfield. So therefore, game time for him is going to be limited. So actually, it makes sense for the club to sell him. He's only going to be really on the bench for me. He's not going to play a big role in this new look Chelsea side. So therefore, that's my thought process on it. However, Chelsea commercially and financially will be looking at this going, well, this represents 100% profit with regards to PSR. And I know a lot of football fans will be getting frustrated with me and Dharmesh because we seem to be mentioning PSR in every single transfer deal. Why is this a factor? Why have they got to be careful? Why do they need 100% profit? However, this will make a massive difference to Chelsea's accountancy books when they look at the situation and they can offset a huge 100% profit. That could be the difference between them failing PSR and coming on the right side of it. So therefore, they'll look at this deal and say, this works for us as a football club with the current rules. Therefore, that's why we needed to do it. And Enzo Maresca, as the head coach, was comfortable with not having Conor Gallagher in his team.
And they do have a lot of players on their books. I think it's 46 registered players. So I'm guessing Conor Gallagher isn't the only player that they're going to be looking to rid themselves of before the window shuts.
I mean, Mark makes a point about PSR. I don't want to keep mentioning it, though, but, I mean, it is pure profit for Gallagher. They're looking potentially to sell Trevor Chalobah as well. He would represent pure profit as far as Chelsea are concerned, even though he signed a new long-term contract only last summer. And it's until, like, a 7-year contract, I think he signed. But he didn't feature for them in pre-season. And there are some reports that even suggesting that he's not part of the first-team setup at all. Armando Broja, another player who has been on loan away from Chelsea in the past couple of seasons, he would represent pure profit as well for Chelsea. So I think these are the players that Chelsea are trying to get money for.
Yeah.
And another one, who is a high-profile one, who they spent, £90 million on, is Romelu Lukaku. And Napoli, we think, are still trying to do a deal for Romelu Lukaku. A gap in valuation still exists between what Chelsea want and what Napoli are prepared to pay. And it's quite a big gap in valuation because we think Chelsea want around 43 million euros for Romelu Lukaku. Napoli want to start dealing at around 30 million euros. So it's not a small gap in valuation. There's still a lot of work to be done on this deal. But it's clear Lukaku remains the primary target of Antonio Conte. And you can understand why. He's played for Antonio Conte before, quite famously in the 2020-21 season for Inter Milan when they won their Serie A title. And Lukaku was fantastic under Antonio Conte. And when Conte came in, it was one of the first things he mentioned to Napoli. I want to bring in Romelu Lukaku. He's key to how I want to play this season for Napoli. The only issue they've got is they've got a player there already in Victor Osimhen who they need to get rid of effectively. And the problem they've got at the moment is he's made it clear that he wants to go. And Napoli have made it public that he wants to go. What that will do to any kind of asking price is open to debate. But we do know that there's a release clause in his contract that's over £100 million. Who's going to pay that much money? We do know that Paris Saint-Germain are interested. They're exploring a loan with an obligation or even a permanent deal. Napoli prefer permanent, or at least have some sort of permanent aspect inserted into that deal, be it a loan with an obligation, but they can't afford to have both Lukaku and Osimhen at the club at the same time, simply because of the wages that both of these players will be on. There has been interest and strong interest from Saudi Arabia in Victor Osimhen. However, at the moment, he wants to stay in one of European football's top 5 leagues. He wants to play Champions League football. I think in an ideal scenario, Napoli's preferred destination for him would be Saudi Arabia, because the likelihood is they would be able to stump up the cash and everyone could move on. But he probably doesn't want to go to Saudi at this stage. This looks like one that will have a bit of brinkmanship involved in it the later in the window we go, with PSG continually knocking on the door until they get to a point where, well, we're desperate to get Lukaku because we want to please the manager, but we have to get rid of Osimhen. We'll have to do this deal. It won't be ideal for Napoli, and it might be a compromise between what PSG want to pay and what Napoli want.